Have you ever been up late at night, flicking through channels, and stumbled upon something that just feels wrong? Something that makes the hair on your arms stand up and sends a cold shiver down your spine. Tonight, we're going to talk about a broadcast that, by all accounts, should never have existed. A ghost in the machine that left an entire city asking questions that still have no answers. Our story takes us back to Detroit, Michigan. The date is June 18, 1987. It's a warm, sticky summer night. The city is winding down, streetlights casting long shadows on the pavement. The time is exactly 11:47 p.m. Most of the city is asleep, but a few night owls are still tuned into their local television station, WKPTV Channel 12. Maybe they were watching a late-night movie or just couldn't sleep. What they were about to see would be burned into their memories forever. Without any warning, the scheduled program was cut. No static, no technical difficulties screen. Just a clean, sudden cut to black. For a few seconds, there was only silence. Viewers probably thought their TV had died, or maybe the station had simply signed off for the night. But then, an image faded in. It was a face. A man, middle-aged, with tired eyes, but a gentle, almost serene smile. He was just looking into the camera. It felt strangely intimate, like he was looking right into your living room. Then, another face appeared. A young woman, maybe in her early 20s, with a similar, calm smile. Then a child, no older than 10. One by one, a series of faces filled the screen. Men, women, children, all from different walks of life. But they all had one thing in common. They were all smiling. Not a happy, joyful smile, but a vacant, unnerving one. It was the kind of smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. As each face appeared, a quiet, almost inaudible hum buzzed from the television speakers. People who saw it reported a profound sense of unease. It wasn't scary in a jump-scare kind of way. It was a deep, psychological dread. Who were these people? Was this some kind of memorial? An art project? The broadcast lasted for exactly 2 minutes. 2 minutes of silent, smiling faces. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it was over. The late-night movie flickered back onto the screen as if nothing had happened. The next morning, the phone lines at WKPTV were flooded. Dozens of people called in, all asking the same question. What was that broadcast at 11:47 last night? The station employees were completely baffled. They checked the logs, the tapes, everything. According to their records, the late-night movie ran uninterrupted. There was no 2-minute broadcast of smiling faces. There was no gap, no glitch, no evidence that anything unusual had occurred. The station management issued a public statement, assuring viewers that it was likely a shared dream or a minor signal bleed from another source. But they had no official record of the event. But the viewers knew what they saw. The story started to spread through the city. People described the faces they remembered. A local newspaper reporter got interested and started digging. He managed to track down a few of the people who had called the station. They all told the same story, describing the same eerie smiles. The reporter started to wonder if these faces were real people. He asked the witnesses for descriptions. Here's where the story takes a chilling turn. As the reporter collected descriptions and artists' sketches of the faces from the broadcast, a horrifying pattern emerged. He started cross-referencing them with a national database of missing persons. The first match was a man who had vanished from Ohio 2 years prior. The second was a woman who disappeared from Illinois just a few months before the broadcast. One by one, every single face from that mysterious 2-minute segment was identified. They were all missing people, People who had vanished without a trace from across the country, and in every single one of their missing person photos, they weren't smiling. They looked scared, normal, or just ... gone. But on the broadcast, they were smiling, that same, empty smile. This revelation turned the strange local event into a terrifying national mystery. How could a small Detroit TV station broadcast the faces of missing people from all over the country? And why were they smiling? It felt like a message. But from whom? And for what purpose? The police and even the FBI were quietly notified. But they hit a wall. There was no physical evidence. Just the testimony of a few dozen late-night television viewers. But the strangest detail was yet to come. It was something that only a few technically minded viewers had noticed. During the broadcast, as the faces flickered on screen, there was another layer to the image. It was almost imperceptible, a ghost in the signal. For a split second, each face would seem to dissolve into a burst of static, and within that static, for a fraction of a moment, letters and numbers appeared. Coordinates. A group of amateur radio enthusiasts and early computer hobbyists who had seen the broadcast worked together. They painstakingly tried to piece together the fragments of data they remembered seeing. They compared notes, argued over numbers, and slowly, digit by digit, they reconstructed a full set of geographic coordinates. Everyone was on the edge of their seat. Where would this lead? To a secret location? To where the missing people were being held? The hope was palpable. They plotted the coordinates on a map. The excitement turned to confusion, and then to a cold, sinking feeling of dread. The coordinates didn't point to a remote cabin in the woods or an abandoned warehouse. They pointed to a location right there in Detroit. In fact, they pointed to the very source of the broadcast itself, the WKPTV transmission tower. An investigation team was dispatched to the tower's location. There was nothing out of the ordinary at the base of the massive steel structure. It was just a fenced-off piece of land with a small maintenance building. They checked the equipment, the power lines, everything. It all seemed normal. But the coordinates were precise. They didn't just point to the general area. They pointed to a specific spot right at the foot of the tower. Driven by a mix of duty and morbid curiosity, the investigators decided to dig. They brought in an excavation crew, and the shovels hit the dirt. They dug for hours. First, they found nothing but soil and rock. But then, about 10 feet down, they hit something else. It wasn't metal or concrete, it was ash. A thick, deep layer of compacted ash. And buried within that ash, they found something that made no sense. They found remnants of old vacuum tubes, melted broadcast equipment, and fragments of magnetic tape technology that was decades older than the current WKPTV station. It was as if an entire, older television station had been burned to the ground and buried right there, directly beneath the new one. No record of this older station existed. No city permits, no business licenses, nothing. It was a phantom, a ghost station that had been erased from history. The ash was analyzed, but the results were inconclusive, other than confirming it was from a massive fire that had happened long, long ago. The mystery only deepened. Was the broadcast a digital ghost, an echo from this buried station? Were the smiling faces a message from the past, or something far more sinister? The case went cold. The files were shelved, and the story of the 1987 Detroit broadcast became another piece of strange, unexplained local folklore. A tale told in hushed tones, a modern ghost story for the television age. It serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the signals we receive aren't meant for us, that there are layers to our world and our technology that we may never understand. Some things are lost to time, buried under ash and soil, waiting for the right moment to send out one last, cryptic message. Because, as the legend of this incident concludes, not every broadcast wants to be seen. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of America's most unnerving, unsolved mysteries. What do you think happened that night in Detroit? Was it a technical glitch, a paranormal event, or an elaborate, untraceable hoax? Let me know your theories down in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring the strange and unexplained, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.